amazing. It was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Water.
For the first time here for season 3. Davis on pole, Vanderkrant in second. It's going to be sprint round action here tonight. Let's go racing here at Daytona. It was a good start there from Davis in comparison to Vanderkrant in behind. Cowan's absolutely bogged it up and already dropped out of the top 3 here as they come down towards turn 1 for the first time. There's biffing and barging between Gallen and Cowan. These guys are still going at it after last season. They survived for this time by though. Through turn 2 and 3 they come. Nice and clean, boys. Keep it up as they come up to...
I love riding. It's a real social thing. There's a great bond between riders.
Every weekend I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other.
Riding to work is a great way to start the day.
Shannons insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. They offer features riders really want. It's why they're one of Australia's leading motorcycle insurance providers.
Whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride,
ride with Shannons.
Call 134646 for a quote.
Through turn 1, it was a horrible start from De Bono. He's absolutely bogged it up and gets eaten alive by Dixon and Gowans as they come on through. Through turn 1 they come, and they all spread out around in towards the first sector of the Silverstone circuit. They look all right at the moment. Okay, there's already been a car spun round. That's Jordan Ferguson off wide.
Is green at Road Atlanta here as well. Faulkner did get away. De Bono is tucked in as well. Unfortunately, Houghton is on that outside line. De Bono does want to turn it to twos. He's got the job. De Bono's overtaken. Now can he get Ben Faulkner up through turns 2 and 3? They go round the right-hander, dropping down the hill. Faulkner's out in front. De Bono second. Houghton third. Ratcliffe in fourth. No real dramas going into turn 1.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover.
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannon's.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 134646 for a quote.
amazing. It was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Water. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to snip on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because tell you what, Bruce Tanek and Jamie Dyson just absolutely drove away from us. Hayden trying to go around the outside. This is where he could have just sent it up the inside, but he hasn't implemented it, which is fair enough. It's very scary out there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if we get a good run. Dodds just absolutely needs to run it into it. Really nice move. Blake Delaney had to move out of the way.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever it is you may be watching from. Welcome back to SRW TV and welcome into round 2 of season 1 of 2025 for the Super Formula Championship here on SRW TV. I'm your commentator Hamish Munro, joined as always by my cohort Jack Anderson. Tonight we go racing at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Jack Oz, this is a track you and I both know very, very well. It's the first track I ever did a Devs race on. We've raced many a times here in many different classes of cars. It's going to be a challenge for the SFLs, but I think it's going to be one that could lead to some phenomenal racing for us here tonight across all 3 of our classes in the field.
Yeah, 100%. We all know that this place has the Ohio Riz, so it's a very challenging track to get right, but I love this place, so it should show some great racing tonight.
Yeah, this race is definitely going to be on skib, and the vibes are immaculate at the moment. We've got some big news coming in for the SFLs that will be announced very, very shortly in the show, that we look very, very forward to announcing as well. Leading into this race, it was a massive week last week. I do apologise, got the coughs at the wrong time. Massive week last week for round number massive week last week in round 1 out at Sebring, saw Kevin Wakefield take his first class win in the AMS class, of course, and saw Danny Davidson start his season off with an absolute bang, taking the win as well, with Dylan DeBono and Doug Gowans finishing on the podium, and Keegan Caldwell taking the Pro-Am win as well. Unfortunately, last week, well, my internet decided to absolutely crack it with me right on the last lap, and we missed out on the post-race interviews, of course. Hopefully tonight we can make it all the way through, and we can then chat to our post-race winners and podium finishers, whatever it may be, here tonight for the SFLs. First of all, though, I'm going to drag in Mr. Sinkovic. He told us to hopefully not drag him in while he's swearing, which can never be confirmed. We're about to find out if he is or not. Mr. Sinkovic, we've got some big news to reveal about the SFLs this season. We tried to build it up as much as we possibly could. He's currently on track and driving at the same time, is about to reveal the news for the SFLs.
Hang on, Hamish, I can't hear you right now, mate.
Oh, my God. Sinker is just absolutely having a ball with things, isn't he, Jacos?
Oh, I can hear you now, mate. I've just jumped out of iRacing.
Oh, well, there we go. Well, yeah, we were saying before, we've got some big news coming in for SFLs this season. One that we've been waiting about a week or so to announce, but we can finally announce it here tonight.
Yeah, we've been waiting for a while just to make things official, but it's not just for this season, it's for whole of 2025. So we've been working behind the scenes frantically and speaking to a particular hardware brand that we all know and love. And this afternoon I got the official okay. So the Formula Superlights will now be officially called the Moser Racing Formula Superlights. We've got them for all of 2025 as a partner. So just watch this space as we grow and develop with them, because there's a lot of things that they want to try and do, and we're on board for it.
Well, there's hopefully some opportunities in future that would take some conversations to have happen. Maybe in future an opportunity for an AOWN winner to maybe win some Moser gear out of winning, or
never
wins
know.
this series. Who knows?
You know me. My conversations always extend up to that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully everything pans out. We've got to do the right things and not just going to throw money at us. We've got an obligation to them now to put on a great show and show off all our drivers and everything like that, and I'm confident we've got some of the best drivers around, so I think it's going to be spectacular, and it just shows that the quality of drivers we have are starting to get noticed, and people are watching the streams, and it's out there for them now to keep going, keep pushing on, and bigger and better things will happen to this series.
Well, Singer, very, very fantastic to be able to finally announce that as well. We'll put you back in the lounge. Best of luck in the race tonight. I'm excited to see two Sinkovic's out on track together for the first time in almost a year.
I'm not sure if I'll be out on track yet. I'm having massive technical issues at the moment, but I'm trying.
Okay, all right. We'll see if you end up out there. But if you do end up out there, best of luck. Thanks, mate. So, Jack Oz, the big news that Moser has partnered alongside SRW and for the SFL series as well for Super Formula Championship. So that's massive. I mean, I mentioned it. In future, if they're happy enough and we can, get our fingers in the right pies, an AOWN winner or a pro champion in SFLs, maybe they win a piece of Moser kit at some point. Like, that would be an absolutely massive, massive prize to give away to, a lot of drivers that are very, very committed to racing in this series on Wednesday nights.
Oh, it certainly would, and it would definitely give out a bigger incentive for some drivers to maybe jump ship from other series or compete in both, and then the AWN or AOWN at the end of the season would be even bigger.
It would indeed. So qualifying is getting underway. We've got a sprint round here tonight, Jack Oz, a 20 and a 40-minute race to come our way, as already Jamie Davis has had a spin out on the circuit. Let's quickly just talk through this track because it's got quite a lot of little areas, I think, of focus, of challenges that can really pose to drivers here tonight. I think the main thing is the undulation changes of this track and how that changes the characteristics of corners in terms of off-camber or on-camber as well, but also just dealing with just trying to traverse around these battles as we deal with, as I mentioned, those undulation changes, the little nuances of the circuit, and how that's going to affect these cars and how these cars are actually going to react to this kind of track as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like we had a test session and I actually jumped in it earlier this week around here, and it was very challenging compared to what I've driven it in like a GT4 or something. In these cars, it's a lot more challenging. So it's going to be great to see how the drivers out there handle it and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's all we can really do at this stage is just wait and see what happens. Danny Davidson, he started his series off with an absolute bang last week at Sebring, took the first win of the season for the pro class, leads that championship race into round number 2 ahead of Doug Gowans and Dylan DeBono at the moment. We mentioned DeBono, arguably the strongest car in the field in Season 4, unfortunately came up short in the end, but this season he's back with a vengeance, and if he can get a win here tonight, that's really going to bring the fight back to Davidson, keep his confidence up to push forward, and keep his confidence up to push for this championship that has been out of his grasp for so long. 2024, a year to forget for Mr. DeBono, as I need to reload the... I think I actually need to reload the graphics. Let me just quickly reload those while we talk about this. 2024, a year to forget for Mr. DeBono. 2025, I think, could be the year for Dylan to really shine and rise back up the ranks and finally win that elusive championship. Now, based on what we saw last week, Jack, do you think we're going to have any maybe surprise packages out on circuit tonight in terms of drivers who could really shine at this sort of circuit?
You can't really go past the top boys like Danny Davison, Mazzaroli, David Gallo's back in this week, Dylan DeBono. All those sort of drivers are obviously your top picks, and it's hard to tell if anyone else, because it's such a high caliber of drivers throughout the whole field that you can't really tell many people to actually be a fully standout driver because they're so close.
I think in terms of a surprise package, I actually think that Keegan Caldwell could possibly be one. If he can keep his race clean, he's shown he's had some great pace. He may be one that could be on for an overall podium here tonight if he gets the pace out of the car well enough as well. So we'll see how he does. Only 24 cars have set times in the sessions thus far. Dean Singovich makes it the back of the field. Danny Davidson currently sits provisional pole, just ahead of Thomas Donoghue in P2 at the moment. Jason Depp's out there. He's struggling still with some internet issues that he was having in practice. So unfortunately, we can't really focus on him at the moment. Brent Wassell, we'll see how he does here tonight as well. Brandon Levin back in the field. Jamie Davis, we saw have the spin at the start of qualifying. So hopefully that's been rectified and he can push on to set some quality lap times here. And then Kevin Wakefield, the man who took his very first class win last week in the AMS, leading into this race tonight. Well, he leads the AM Championship, and that's going to be a great feeling knowing that you are the best of the best at the moment in that AM field.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be a definite confidence booster, doesn't it?
So we'll see how he tackles this circuit here this evening. I think Mazzaroli as well, he's already been a standout amongst a multitude of series here in SRW, the Tuesday Split 2 Supercars field and also the Wednesday night Moser Racing Super Formula Championship field as well. So I look forward to seeing how he does tonight. He has been put into pro in the league, so he's actually been updated from Pro-Am to pro in the span of a round. We'll see how that stands and how that changes, remembering that classes are locked in as of the end of round 3, so they're going to be a little bit fluid at the start of the season. We may see drivers get put into one or taken out of another. It will only be locked in as of the end of round 3, but for right now tonight, he is classified as a pro in the field. He's shown some great pace already and had some great racecraft. Last week, a little bit unlucky, caught out in some moments, but a phenomenal qualifying from him at Sebring. JP in the chat, Carlins for the win. Well, at the moment, David Gallo is the sole Carlins motorsport car in the field. Daniel Byrne yet to return to the SRW field of Super Formula Championship land, brought to you by Moser Racing. It's great to see Gallo back out there. For my money, Jack Oz, he was the best driver of 2024, not only amongst the SFLs, but I think in all of SRW. This guy won 3 titles. One of them was the F1 Shadow Series title and 2 overall series titles here in the SFLs. If he could bring that sort of consistency and pace back into 2025, he could really be on for one hell of a run on the way to maybe even more championships to becoming the most successful Super Formula Championship driver we've had here in SRW.
Yeah, and what a stat that would be to have. You'd be singing in the hills if you had that sort of status, wouldn't you?
Oh, you really would. I mean, the names that he would go amongst would be obviously Phil Vella, but Matty Jones as well. Those are the 2 upper echelon drivers with most titles next to their names. And for Gallo, he came into 2024 as a quiet achiever. He came in not as the expected champion in Season 1, then drove a very consistent season, won his first title, and that's when myself and Hutto in the booth knew. We were like, oh, hey, we've actually got to watch Gallo here. We've got to see how he does. Season 2, he came up trumps. He missed out on a championship. Season 3, he really turned it on. He won that second title for the year, and then the full focus forward was on that F1 Shadow Series title. His teammate, Daniel Byrne, won the title in Season 4, but for Gallo, he won that year-long championship, claiming 3 titles in 1 year of racing in SFL. So that is a phenomenal stat next to Gallo's name. He'll be hoping to win a 3rd championship this season, but unfortunately for him, he's already used his drop round, missing round number 1 this season.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one to try and win it from here if he's hasn't got his little drop round in the back pocket. So hopefully he does well there. You'd hope that you'd think that he would do very well since he's got a track record like you just explained, Hamish.
Well, I think he's consistent enough to put a full season together from this point where he could still be a challenger at the end of the season. So he's a name that we'll forever have this season as an opportune driver. I think until we see him have a poor round, that's pretty much then we can cross his name out. If he has one poor round, that's pretty much, well, it'll take other drivers to have multiple poor rounds to really get him back into it. Tom Donoghue, though, surprise package signing qualifying, sits provisional pole with a 113.096. He's the only one into the zeros. In the practice session, we had a couple of drivers get into the 112s. They could try and get that here in qualifying. We'll have to see how they do across the final 6 minutes of quali. Being a sprint round tonight, we will get cut off as the 15 minutes come to an end. So that means that they must finish their lap before the 15 minutes is off, not start it. As I've just seen in the background, I believe that was Doug Gowans off the road at turn 1 in a wild moment as he runs it off the exit there into the sand trap. Might need a bucket and spade to get that VSL car out.
I would have liked to see the onboard cam that he provides to us each week. I'd like to see his reaction while that was happening.
Well, we have got driver's eye, of course, here in the SFL, so let's have a look. The intensity in the eyes of Doug Gowans. Oh, just washed it wide, rear end went, and then trying to catch it, and seeing that wall get a little bit closer to you. I have a feeling some puckering may have been happening in the seat of that car.
I can tell you right now that that camera was very accurate because his eyes would have been wide open.
Oh, yeah.
While that was happening.
Very, very wide open, I would say, but he's got it back on track at the moment. Davison now finds himself P2 in the standings, Mazzaroli P3, and then Giuliano Sinise in P4. David Gallo makes up the top 5 here in qualifying. Doug Gowans, Dylan Bono, Jamie Davis, Ray Oliver, Mitch Noble, your top 10. The top 2 in the Pro-Ams currently sit P9 and P10 for Ray Oliver and Mitch Noble. Your top-seeded AM driver at the moment, Andrew Cowan, P1 for them, P20 on the road with Josh King and Mick Clifton a few positions in behind them as well. I think we could be on for some good racing tonight, Jackos. I think this circuit, knowing how it reacts to certain cars, could give us some great racing. I think it can lead itself to some great battles, some great moments as well. We know how wild it can be. We've raced here many a times, as I mentioned. And I think one of the biggest parts of this track is that exit of turn 1. If they catch a little bit too much grass, they're a little bit too aggressive on the throttle, could see cars ricocheting into the left-hand side of the road and straight into the wall, and then coming back out on track as well. So that's one thing that we'll be keeping an eye on. I think as well, any chaos that can happen on the other end of the track, kind of the middle portion of the circuit, I think could really lead to some moments too. So I think it's going to come down to how the vibe of the race is within the first couple of laps to really figure out if we're going to get multiple safety cars or maybe only one or maybe none here tonight.
Yeah, even going through turn 1, if you touch the little curb that comes out of pit lane, the car's so low that you hit it in the middle, it'll literally grind like a skateboard. So it's going to be interesting. You got to kind of avoid it. You can touch it lightly, but it also upsets the car a lot. So,
well, for Danny Davidson, he currently sits provisional pole. He's now pipped Tom Donahue to pole. He is a 1:12.989. I do believe. Yep, 989 if I'm reading that correctly. So he's the man with some pace, and he's the man at the top end of the timing tower at the moment as well. I just realised which camera angles give me the best sound, and that is TV3 is going to give me the best sound between all of them. For whatever reason, the microphone's a bit low on the IMSA cam, so we'll just rock and roll with TV3 here this evening. We've of course got our double cam happening once again with the second screen on option for us. We've also got some drivers on their cameras as well, as Nathan Verney's parked on the side of the road at the back end of the circuit. We've got Callum Rosanita with his virtual cam once again. Great to see from Cal. Rocking and rolling in the Pro-Am field. Nick and Andrew Martin on screen together at once tonight for their double cam, similar to what they run in the GR86 showcase race during the Sandown 500 weekend. And then also Andrew Cowan's back with his virtual cam and the Grand Prix wheel on the rig here this evening. So we'll see how those drivers do across the portion of this race here tonight. So I look forward to seeing how some of these drivers really contest this track and how they settle in to their battles as well. But I think there is a level of unknown about it, Jackos. It was that vibe that I mentioned of we're not going to know how many safety cars or how many yellow flags we may get until we're actually into the meat and potatoes of this race, because it's all going to come down to how the drivers are reacting, how they're attacking, how they're defending, and how they're actually approaching this track lap after lap.
yeah, exactly. Oh, there's a car off there. Almost got hit. But, yeah, it's going to be unpredictable on how many safety cars and all those sort of things. It's kind of an unknown, as you've said. It makes it exciting, though.
I think it does, yeah. I think it really, really gives us that, again, that unknown factor. You know, some places we go to, we kind of expect a safety car, and then when we don't get it, we're a little bit disheveled. Like, if we were to go to Belle Isle or Long Beach or Chicago and not get one, it's a little bit disappointing when it doesn't happen, especially if you don't get great racing in that sense as well. But I think tonight it is such an unknown. It's a track we haven't run too often here in SRW, and whenever it comes up, I just think to myself, you know what, that could actually be a bit of an underrated race. I think we could be on for something special. So we'll see what happens when the green flag drops. We've got 2 races to come tonight. That's twice as many opportunities as Matt Tesseriero gets caught out by Greg Johnston at the end of the back straight and has to pull off to the side of the road. So Greggy boy, unfortunately catching out Matt with the braking point of his car tonight. But that's one thing that drivers need to be used to contesting with here, Jackos, because you've got 3 different classes in one field. They're going to have to get used to racing around each other.
Yeah, and they were saying in during the practice session earlier that, well, Jason Depp blinking for me, or was blinking for me. They were saying earlier that Johnston does break a little bit earlier, so I'm a little bit surprised that he got caught out by that since they already knew, but it is what it is. As we get the cars gridding up, getting their little debrief from race control.
Yep, we'll get our starting grid happening in a second. I just remembered that I need to change something in the actual project file, so bear with me while I quickly just fix that, and then we will get into our starting grid for tonight's race. We've got a big grid coming your way here this evening. 2 races to come your way as well. A race, so qualifying is determine the starting grid for our 20-minute sprint. And then at the end of that 20-minute sprint, however they finished in the whole field with the reverse top 10 positions will make up our grid for race number 2. For the overall standings here tonight of our starting grid, Danny Davidson will start pole position ahead of Tom Donoghue. In P2 with David Gallo and Giuliano Sinise, your top 4. Dylan DeBono, Jordan Mazzaroli will make up your top 6. And Mitch Noble, Doug Gowans, Matt Tesseriero and Ray Oliver making up our top 10. Jamie Davis and Nick Martin will then start inside of your top 12. With Brandon Levin, Ben Brook, Mick Clifton, Darren Fahey, your top 16. Callum Roseneder, Brad Hudson for your top 18 cars. Nathan Verney and Martin Lofthouse will start on the 10th row of the grid. Jason Depp, Josh King, Andrew Cowan and Timothy Schmalenberg. How will that internet hold up for Depp? We'll have to wait and see how long he may be allowed to blink for before race control tell him to come into pit lane. Sean Benici, Cam Hardwick, Sam Catakazinos, Nick Schmalenberg will then line up for your top 28 positions with Tyler Sheaf, Callan Hodgkinson, Dean Singovich and Kevin Wakefield starting in behind them. Brent Wassell, Russell Gander, Andrew Martin and Andrew Proctor, your top 36 cars, as we then move back to Brad Anderson, Greg Johnston, Keegan Caldwell, Ben Simpson, Steve Singovich, Tyson McAvoy at the back end of the field. So those guys not getting in qualifying times. We'll see how that affects their race here this evening. But, Jackals, we are only a few moments away from starting this race. We're waiting for our pole sitter, Danny Davidson, to join the grid here. But at the moment, well, it's anyone's game in this race here this evening. So we'll wait for Barney to wave our flag. We'll wait for us to get the lights up and running. It feels like there could be a bit of an electricity in the air, Jackos. New sponsor coming on board for the SFLs in Moser Racing. Great to have them on board. Great to have them alongside for us to represent here in Super Formula Championship land in SRW. And I think we could be on for something special here this evening as almost a bit of a fireworks display to start the partnership alongside them here for the Super Formula Championship in 2025. So we await Jason Depp, Sam Catakazinis, Andrew Martin, Keegan Caldwell, Ben Simpson to join our grid here this evening. Got some great chats out there already. We'll run through them throughout the proceedings here this evening as well. Get into the chat. Let us know what drivers you want us to keep an eye on as well. And let us know who you want to see out on circuit here in the SFLs, as we'll try and accommodate as best we can. But lights go up. It's time to go racing for SFLs. At Mid-Ohio, Davison on pole, Donoghue, Gallo, Sinise in behind. We are underway for 20 minutes for heat number 1 here this evening of the Moser Racing Super Formula Championship in 2025. Round turn 1 we come. Great start from Davison, Gallo and Donoghue as they scramble for position up towards turn number 2. No one's gone off track just yet. They've kept it nice and clean thus far. Can they do so for the rest of the first lap? I think I may have spoken too soon because it looks like Jamie Davis has already had an off track here, Jack Oz, but he's kept it going. But at this stage, he'll just be hoping to make up some early lost positions throughout the proceedings of race 1.
Yeah, it's very early doors as we see. Oh, there's contact there. Someone's lost a rear wing. Oh, there's a blip in the background.
I'm trying to get it. It's Jordan Mazzaroli who's off in the grass. So
there's also another one
there
as well.
Yep, Ben Brook. Absolute chaos here on lap 1. This could be an early safety car. There's a car on its roof in the middle of the track. Safety car should be out on track in a moment's notice here. Leakey, Cochran and Barbs are in the safety car booth for us here tonight. But that is a huge, huge moment to start this race. We've got to see how this has occurred. And I think Bradley Hudson's been involved and a couple of others as well. But we've got to start with Jordan Mazzaroli's off track down at the back end of the field. So what has happened to Jordan down here? Oh, caught a bit of grass.
A bit dumped there.
Yeah, a bit dumped. Mick Clifton then followed him off the road. So what's happened to Mickey Clifton down there as well? Oh, yep, just out under brakes, rolls it off the road. But there seems to be more contact between all this because Rosenede has also ended up off the road as well. So what's happened with him? Oh, my God. That is absolutely wild between Brandon Levin and Ben Brook. So what's happened between them down at the bottom of the straight? Because Levin has been absolutely launched off the back of that Frog Leap Juice Racing car. And it's big chaos already in this race. Have we had confirmation of the safety car, Jackos? I would assume we have.
The safety car is out. I
Yeah.
can confirm.
Yep, so not that surprised, to be honest with you, that has been called, because a car on its intake is well, not what we want to see, of course, out on the road tonight. But for Danny Davidson, a little bit of a reprieve. And, well, we seemed fairly clean there for the first couple of corners, Jackos, but then they all came unstuck down at turn 4. Do we see this becoming an issue throughout the night? I'm not sure.
Yeah, we were all... it's one of the danger spots of this track is turn 4 after a really long straight, and there's just that big opportunity to get the little dive in and get that position, but obviously it can go wrong, just as we've seen there, where it did go wrong. And, yeah, it's definitely one of the danger spots. Another one that we were speaking about was also the kink going into the second last corner complex, or the last corner.
Yep. Yeah.
People thinking they have enough run.
Yeah, I mean, the little switchback through that final little section as you come out of the sort of double right-hander, you go through then the right and the left. That, I think, could really catch some drivers out if they're not close enough to making the overtake. And then, yeah, the kind of double right or double apex right-hander at the final corner could catch drivers out as well. But we've already had an early drop out of this race in terms of a car ending up on its intake. That was unfortunately for him, Brandon Levin. Keegan Caldwell and Sam Katakazinos have not made the start of this race. So the Pro-Am Championship leader is already giving up points this season now to his cohorts, and a forced drop round for Keegan. Well, that's not going to help him in trying to win 2 seasons in a row and going back-to-back in class promotions to get up into pro class next season. So for him, the pressure's now going to be on for the rest of the season. And, well, for Keegan, who's someone who's trying to better his racecraft, that much pressure, you know, they say pressure creates diamonds, but that could really make or break him at this point in the year.
Benjamin Brook has just crashed, apparently, according to the timing. But yeah, Keegan was unfortunately having some internet issues before, in the practice session. So, very unfortunate to see. You never wish that upon someone that they can't race, but it seems that internet.
I think Hutto, yeah, it's plaguing the drivers tonight. Hutto's, I think, just dropped out as well. Oh no. So it seems, you know, this seems to be the ploy here tonight is internet issues plaguing a lot of drivers. Keegan, internet issues not started this race. Hutto's now dropped out due to internet issues. Jason Depp's still dealing with those internet issues of his own. One of the biggest losers, I think, out of all this is actually Jordan Mazzaroli, who's now a lap down and was obviously caught out in that early incident with Levin and Ben Brook as well. So these will be things that we'll have to keep an eye on throughout the evening. Keep an eye on them throughout both races tonight. But for Davidson, it was a hell of a start. And for David Gallo, who started P3 on the road, well, he is already looking as strong as he did in 2024. And I'm getting vibes that he may want to go Season 1 champion 2 years in a row in the SFLs.
Yeah, you definitely get that vibe. Maybe he wants to try and make it 4 from 4 this year, and that'd be a heck of a feat, wouldn't it?
Well, there's no F1 Shadow Series in 2025 anymore. And to become the first Moser Racing Super Formula champion here in SRW would be quite a feat. He was the first champion in Season 3 of the previous supporters of the series, but it's great to have Moser on board. Some absolutely fantastic products available at Moser, of course, but to be a part of the SFL series, that is huge. That is a massive moment for this series. For all of 2025, Moser Racing with us here in the Super Formula Championship. And I think, you know, for Gallo, who was, for me, the best driver of 2024, to then go on and win the first season of 2025 and to break Dylan De Bono's heart again, that would be demoralising for De Bono, but great for Gallo as we get underway with green flag running at Mid-Ohio for the second time. Restart has occurred as Davison leads them through turn number 1 for the first time. Under the next section of green flag running as Mitch Noble's gone round at the exit of turn 1. And I have to wonder if he caught some of that grass on the outside of the track. Jacko's lucky not to hit the wall, but just trying to get this thing turned around and back on the road. Lucky not to hit anyone and lucky not to end up in the tyre barrier.
Oh, 100%. He almost hit it when he backed up as well, so that would not have been a good day if you missed it and then you go on to go back up and hit the wall and give yourself damage. But no, he did a really good job rejoining then. Hopefully he can make up a couple spots back.
Yeah, it's just, you know, a bit of it's a race of attrition, isn't it? Keep it as clean as possible and hope you can make up some positions. And that's already happening for last night's Split 2 winner in the Supercars, Callum Hodgkinson, who's up 13 positions at the moment. He's on absolute fire here this evening as Steve Sinkovich has had a moment. He's already had a spin in this race now, Jackos. That is only taken him 8 minutes to get to a spin tonight. And he's got the new Moser Racing livery on that car for the first time as well. So good to see where his time's been spent, and that's making a Moser Racing livery for himself here today, it seems. But let's have a look at what happened to Mr. Sinkovich down at turn 5 as he made his way round. So he had Jordan Mazzaroli ahead of him, who was a lap down. Comes around the corner, runs it way wide into the grass. Oh, he didn't actually spin. He just had to pull it up and try and avoid contact. But unfortunately for him, that may be classified as a poor rejoin. He may have to traverse through the lane at some point, Jackos, for that one.
Yeah, it was a bit of a sketchy rejoin. No, that he didn't mean it. Who's that off the road?
That is Tyson McAvoy, so he must have had some... he may have very well had some sympathy for Sinker as there's another moment down at turn 4. Tesseriero's off the road. Gallo's dropping positions as well. What has happened to David Gallo, whose car is absolutely destroyed? What has happened to the Carlins Motorsport car in the 78 machine? That thing is gone. He might need to tow that back to pits.
You would assume so with that much damage. Missing the front, missing the rear, missing a wheel and everything.
I mean, there's so much debris. It's making me drop frames at the moment. So hopefully that sorts itself out. But for David Gallo, that is a real problem. What has happened I need to find what's happened to him because that was huge. And I think there may have been contact possibly with De Bono. So it's down at 4. Gallo on the outs. Oh, it was massive net code. Oh, my God. And, I mean, neither driver's fault. Bit of net code between them, of course, but that is an absolute sore sight to see for any Carlins Motorsport fans out there. I'm sure James Parfitt is swearing as much as he can over in the UK right now, seeing the sights of that car and the position that it's currently in this race.
Tell you what, though, he did a brilliant job if he's made it back to the lane.
I think he has. He has, and he's used his fast repair as well. So back out on track, still on the lead lap, as Tom Donoghue has now set the fast lap of the race. So 1:13.71 for Thomas Donoghue of Everything Simulated Racing, part of Valve Esports as well. So Tom trying to chase down Danny Davidson. And for our current championship leader, well, it's been a perfect start to the season as he looks to get a second win in a row here tonight in SRW in the Super Formula Championship, brought to you by Moser Racing. I've just seen the chats from JP and Daniel Byrne. They are not happy after that moment with Mr. Gallo, and the hearts have been broken of David Gallo fans as well, Jackos. But that's a wild moment already in this race, and we've had some big moments at turn 4. Seems to be catching a lot of drivers out.
Yeah, it definitely has, and it's easy to do. Just cook the entrance for the brakes a little bit too much, or just someone braking a little bit earlier, and so easy to do. Oh, that's Sinkovic around again.
Yeah, he's come into the pit lane, so he's had a moment coming into the pits as Mr. Sinkovic. I think possibly may have had a moment at the last corner. Has he had a moment with his brother? Because Dean's had a crash apparently, and if there's an inter-Sinkovic... Okay, no, it's not him and Dean. I'm about to say if that happened, but Dean has had a moment at turn 1. Oh my God, massive slide. Too much speed through there, son, and manages to get it pulled up before hitting the wall. And then Steve must have known and had a bit of a sympathy spin for his brother down at the final corner. So what's happened to Mr. Sinkovic? Oh, has he run it wide, big lockup, and a forced pit stop for Steven in this race, which is not what you want to have happen. As he's actually now pulled it up at the end of the pit lane, waiting for the whole field to come past. So it's unfortunate there for Steve.
It's an interesting strategy.
It's a very interesting strategy. But for Danny Davidson, well, he's got a hell of a strategy. Fastest lap of the race, 1:13.42. It's already now built out a 1.9 second gap over Tom Donoghue. Giuliano Sinise in behind. Ray Oliver's had a great run here tonight. He's up 6 positions into P4 overall, leads the Pro-Ams. Darren Fahey as well's had a great run as Nathan Verney has just made his way past Nick Martin on screen at the moment. So for Martin, he'll be hoping to try and solidify this top 10. This would be a massive moment in the young racing career for Nick Martin at this stage as he races alongside his dad Andrew in the rig room at home. And it's full focus for both of them as Nick is in this battle for P8/P10 with Martin Lofthouse in behind him. For Andrew, well, he's trying to have a battle here with Brandon Levin, who's a lap down, and trying to get away from Greg Johnston as well. I want to see, let's see how Mr. Rosanita's doing, because we saw him off the road at turn 1, start of this race. He's had a fairly good run as old Cal. He has run up 6 positions into P11, so a nice consistent run from the VRT driver. Dougie Gowan's got given a drive-through penalty for the contact on lap 1. He has served that penalty already now, so thanks to Race Control for updating us on that one. So that's why Doug Gowans is further down the field in P23, as Kevin Wakefield is in a battle with Mitch Noble, runs it wide, and that there is an unfortunate way for him to drop positions. Car 265 drive-through penalty. Unsafe rejoin on lap 1. That's also been served as well. That was the way of Russell Gander, who's at the back of the field too. So Race Control taking their time to update us on some moments that have been happening throughout this race as Gowans finally gets the job done on
That
Mitch
was
Noble.
a slick move too. Did you see?
Great set. I did, yeah.
Forced his way through. Basically, was not taking no for an answer.
Classic guns out Gowans manoeuvre, if you ask me. He is well known to get those guns out and fight his way forward. Sean Bonici, at the moment of Whiskey Runners Racing, fighting his way through the field. He is up 13 positions into P12 at the moment. He's one in behind Callum Rosanita and trying to chase down or keep away from Callan Hodgkinson in behind him as they run through turn number 1. Here at Mid-Ohio. We are 15 minutes into this race, Jack Oz. 5 minutes left to run. No more safety cars in race number 1. Car 067, unsafe rejoin lap 5. No further action. So Sinkovic has saved his bacon of not getting a drive-through because he's actually in the pit lane, it seems, out of this race as Greg Johnston has a moment at the final corner. Oh, Bonici, though. This battle that you've got on your screen, Jack Oz, is really heating up as the Schmalen Bombers are getting into their own little fight with Tessariero in behind.
Yeah, I'm just, sorry, I'm trying to fix the stuttering happening on my screen while we're going through this. But,
okay. We'll get that off
yeah,
screen then while you fix
it is
that.
getting quite spicy, if you ask me. Alright.
Mr. Burns saying, not sure if I'd call that net code between DeBono and Gallo. It looked like net code to me, Jack Oz. Looked like there was a gap between them when they made contact.
Yeah, there was definitely a gap in there. Whether there would have been contact regardless is maybe another thing, but there definitely was a gap in there. So it was net code, but there might have still been contact going to happen anyway. So it's unfortunate. You never want to see it happen, but
no,
it's just racing.
Definitely not. And yeah, as you said, it's just racing. the end of the day, plenty more rounds for David to try and make up some solid points. And, you know, he could just fight his way forward tonight and get a solid performance out of race 2 as well. You never know what's going to happen this season. SFLs are always an unknown factor of how much chaos are we actually going to have. That could make or break somebody's season out there. And, you know, someone else like De Bono could have another unlucky run in 2 rounds, and that ruins his championship hopes once again. Hopefully not for his sake, because, you know, that would be almost heartbreaking for him at this point of the season if that were to happen for him once again. Andrew Proctor's currently up 10. He's still following around the lap traffic of Brandon Levin, who we saw pretty much get halfway round lap 1 and end up on his intake at this very corner at turn 5. So he's managed to keep going, trying to get some solid points, but he's going to be starting right at the back of the field for race number 2. Giuliano Sinize's had a great run as well, Jackos. He's got a bit of gap in between him for Ray Oliver and Tom Donoghue under real no pressure. Closest battle inside the top 10 is this one between Martin Lofthouse of JWM Motorsport and Nathan Verney for P8 on the road.
Yeah, it's shaping up to be a pretty good battle. There are some pretty good battles out there, actually. It's producing some really good racing, so hopefully it continues the way that it has been.
Well, there's this one here, the battle between Callum and Callan. This is a classic rivalry that's gone on for a long time of the correct pronunciation of Callan Hodgkinson's name. I know some people call him Callum when it is Callan, but yeah, these guys have been known to be on track together quite a fair bit. Tesseriero still trying to get the job done on Tim Schmalenberg, unable to go around the outside at turn 4. So these battle packs are starting to form, but they're going to get cut off eventually with only 2 minutes to go. Where is Danny Davidson? He's about to start his next lap. I think we've got 2 more laps in this, Jackos, so probably get to lap 15 of this race, 15 laps for the first one, and then you'd look at about maybe 30-odd laps for race 2, even if we got a safety car. So Davidson, he's had a great race thus far. He's really proven himself to be the championship favourite this season. Got into some controversy last season on track, but it's come into this season all guns blazing, all pace, all glory, all racecraft, and he's looking incredibly strong.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's looking like a force to be reckoned with. So.
What was that? What was that sigh of? What was that sigh for?
I'm just not happy with my PC at the moment. It just doesn't want to keep up.
I understand. Oh, moment in the background for Cam Hardwick, who's off the road at the exit of turn 2. Has to try and get this thing back up and running again. As he does indeed, so keeps it nice and clean on the rejoin on the track. Doug Gowans is now trying to get his elbows out and get around the Schmalen bombers as best he can to get back inside the top 15. He's back inside the top 20 at the moment, with Noble in behind him, but this battle pack has started to grow and it's really started to heat up throughout this race. And already proving to me, Jackos, that we've had some great racing on offer here tonight as Cam Hardwick is off the road once again at turn 5. It is final lap of the race, as Danny Davidson has crossed the line to start lap 15. One more to go for Davidson to claim victory for a second time this season and to start P10 in race number 2.
I think he was getting a bit antsy there. He was about to try and go around the outside of Cowie in turn 1.
Oh,
so, and he's trying around the outside again.
Has he maybe got a bit of cojones about him, the young Sheafy?
He must be getting a bit over the amount of one-handed jokes we keep on.
Well, I was going to say, I'm surprised he hasn't found the iRacing driver avatar that only has one hand at this point. But up through the final.
And he's had a massive crash.
Oh my God, he has too. We'll have a look at that in a moment as Danny Davidson comes around the final couple of corners to claim his second victory of the season as a privateer. Across the line for Danny Davidson, who takes the win in race number 1 here tonight. Giuliano Sinize will come home P2. Tom Donoghue in P3 as well. Ray Oliver will come home in P4, with Jamie Davis coming home in P5 as well. How about you just don't get into the chat like that? We didn't realise that battle was happening. We had to put the leader on screen. So if you don't like it, don't watch. Fahey P6 to Bono P7. Lofthouse, Verney, Martin for your top 10. Roseneder comes home in a very impressive P11 with Hodgkinson, Benici, King and Tesseriero P15 on the road as well. As I've just seen.
What was that about the chat?
Oh, in the chat, people are saying, where's the battle for second, when we didn't even realise they were battling and we had to focus on the leader. So for Sinise, that is some great points leading into race number 2 tonight. Tom Donoghue as well. Some good points for P3. Ray Oliver, what a performance for him, Jackos. P4 on the road, P1 for the Pro-Ams. Davis with a good performance, P5. But, I mean, Davison, he is arguably on the run of his life at the moment in SFLs. 2 wins from 2 this season. Will look to go perfect in race 2 and try and get a third leading into round 3 next week. So 5 minutes warm-up session now. Thank you, JP and Pricey. Appreciate it. Yep, I highly recommend if you think you can produce and commentate, go ahead and give it a go. I would love to see it happen. Be phenomenal. But 5 minute warm-up session, Jackos. It's the first one of the season that we've had for a sprint round. How do you think these drivers are going to have to prepare now? Because we saw a little bit of chaos at turn 4 and turn 5 in this race. And then at the final couple of corners too. So maybe just trying to formalise themselves in approaching those corners and maybe determining how much earlier they can break in those battle packs.
Oh, you would think so. Just having a couple of thoughts, a reflection, and come back even stronger for the actual race for the next one. And yeah, you would hope that nobody wants to go out there and cause some crashes, but yeah, you'd definitely go back. You'd have a reflection on how you went, what you could have done differently, and yeah, just capitalise on it and see if you can get a better result in the second race.
Yeah, exactly. Sean Medici chat, reminding everyone to like and subscribe. It's exactly right. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon as well. Daniel Burnett there saying plenty of battles throughout the field. There were a heap of battles in the field. A heap of battles in the field tonight. That mid-pack battle with about 7 cars in it, Jackos, that was one to keep an eye on. As Andrew Martin's had an unfortunate off-track during this warm-up session. Nick Schmalenberg's out there as well. And I predict we're going to get a whole lot more battles happening in this race because strategy is now going to be a point of factor. Where race 1, they didn't need a pit stop to get home. Race 2, they're definitely going to need one, being that it is 40 minutes long. The tank not able to get them to the very end of the race. So that factor of strategy now is going to be a big part to play as Smalenberg's absolutely bottled turn 4 and turn 5. So again, another driver who made us need to practice that little section of track.
It is only the warm-up though.
It is.
We've seen quite a lot of drivers just have a little bit of fun in the warm-up, just try a couple new things.
We do love an expression session during the warm-up, don't we, Jackos? A couple of burnouts in the pit lane or on a bit of road where you're not going to get in anyone's way. We do love having a bit of that as well. Apparently, Cowie must have hit Sheafy when he got on his lid. So unfortunately, we could not get the replay for that as it went to the next session. But, you know, if you have it happen again at 20 minutes into the second race, Sheafy, then we can show it. But that's the only other thing I could say to that one is, yeah, try and recreate it. But watch for more lap 1 carnage, 100%, Sean, 100%. I predict lap 1 carnage once again at turn 4. We may even run on the blimp cam for turn 4, Chakos, just to see how many cars may end up off the road.
It's a good idea, actually. I might do that for the second camera.
Very good. Very nice. Sitting up there in the shunt scenery blimp cam that we've got running up in the sky, of course. Brought to us by the phenomenal Greg Barber of Blackout OPR Racing, who is one of our race controllers and a race steward here in SRW as well. Nick Schmalenberg still struggling down at turn 4. Tim Schmalenberg, his brothers, managed to make it round this time. So a couple of minutes left in the warm-up session. Don't forget, guys, to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon as well. Got some big racing coming up throughout the rest of this week. Tomorrow night, in the Toyota GR86 brought to you by Shannon's Insurance. We're racing out at Rudskogan Motor Centre for the first super sprint round of the season for those guys. And then Sunday night, we're back at Indianapolis Road Course for the Warren Brown Tools V8 Supercars Championship as well. Next week here in Moser Racing Super Formula Championship land, we have got Zolder Alternate Circuit. I know that you're Yeah, definitely a big fan of Zolder Jack Oz after doing way too many laps for the Pro Series qualifying. But I think that could be an absolute barn burner in these cars. We've seen before how much carnage can ensue at Zolder, and I think we're going to be on for maybe a race of the season next week when we go racing in sprint round format once again. Dramas. Absolute dramas the first couple of rounds, definitely. I think, Sebring proved that there was some dramas on field tonight in Mid-Ohio. Well, the dramas have been on skib and absolutely rizzing us up throughout this race as well. Some drivers even caught in 4K at turn 4.
For real.
For real, bussin'. Oh, and then,
on God.
Oh, we will break everyone in chat as well. So,
obviously, Zolder is actually a really nice track. It's just the amount of laps that I did within like a week. I think I probably did close to 500 or more laps. So I'm a bit over that track, especially when I couldn't.
Bit over driving.
Improve.
Maybe a viewer for about the next year, maybe at Zolder. Me not wanting to race.
Yeah, I don't want to return there unless Scott go back there. So,
if we go back there as well on Sundays and Tuesdays, at some point.
I think I'll be using that as a drop round. But
starting good.
No, it is.
Oh no, sorry. You were saying it's a good track for Zolder.
It is definitely a good track.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. It'll suit these cars as well and this driving style of these cars as well. And as I said, last time we were there, absolute chaos, which I love as a broadcaster. The drivers may not love it because they crash. I love it as a broadcaster because it's a great time. It's a great broadcast whenever we have a lot of crashes. But for this one, Nick Martin will start pole position ahead of Nathan Verney on the front row of the grid. Martin Lofthouse, Dylan DeBono on your second row. Darren Fahey, Jamie Davis line up in behind them. Ray Oliver, Tom Donoghue, Giuliano Sinise, and Danny Davidson will make up your top 10. The rest of the grid will start how they finished race number 1 with Callum Roseneder and Callan Hodgkinson lining up alongside each other once again on the grid with Sean Benici, Josh King, Matt Tesoriero, and Nick Schmalenberg, your top 16, Mitch Noble, Mick Clifton, Ben Brook, Doug Gowans, your top 20, Tim Schmalenberg, Andrew Cowan, David Gallo for your top 24 cars on the road as well. As we then move back to see Tyler Sheaf, Andrew Proctor, Dean Sinkovich, Andrew Martin, your top 28, Tyson McAvoy, Greg Johnson, your top 30, Brad Hudson, Cam Hardwick, Brent Wassell, Russell Gander, Brad Anderson, Jordan Mazzarola, your top 36. When in behind them, we had Brandon Levin, Steven Sinkovich, Jason Depp, your non-finishers of race number 1, Keegan Caldwell, Sam Katagazinos, Ben Simpson. If they've joined the server, they can get started for race number 2. But with Keegan's internet issues, I doubt that very much at this stage of the night.
I'm going to guess there's going to be 2 safety cars in it, right?
I would hazard a guess that that's probably the correct one, Jack Oz. I would say that is almost definite. I think we may get a third if there's early carnage, like, first couple of laps we get a safety car and then another one a few laps later. But I would say, yeah, probably 2 safety cars. If that race had gone on for another 10 minutes, we were likely going to get another one. So, yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think 2 is probably very fair for race number 2 tonight. Jordan in chat, no cap. Yeah, no cap, Jordan. For real. It is immaculate vibes at the moment for the racing in this series for Moser Racing Super Formula Championship. And race 2, I think, is going to be an absolute stormer of a race. Martin Verney on your front row, Lofthouse, DeBono in behind. DeBono will be looking to get a solid start to this race to try and put that car further up the front so then Davison, Sinise, Donoghue and Davis and Fahey cannot chase him down. This is going to be a hell of a run for race number 2 tonight. Lights are up. Let's go racing at Mid-Ohio once again. Green flag's going to get dropped by Barney any second as we are underway at Mid-Ohio. Martin's had a great start, as did Verney, but Fahey rocketed off the line. Tucks it in behind DeBono towards turn number 1 for the first time here in race 2 as they head up towards turn 2 as well. Can they keep it clean this time by? As I think Wakefield and Martin in the background have been caught out a little bit off a poor start, but further up, Nick Martin has done well. Hodgkinson's had to jump the pits. He's found the door to the Shadow Realm as Andrew Cowan's off the road at turn 2 as well. Brent Wassell has had a moment in the background, so it's happened even earlier this time by as more and more debris gets thrown up on the track. But how does Nick Martin go down towards turn 4?
Someone's actually missing a side pod too out of all that. So it's been a pretty big and hectic first couple of laps. I think it is actually Wassell. Wassell. I think he may be missing a side pod, so it's not what you want.
Not indeed. Brad
Darren
Hudson
Fahey
has rejoined the racing as well after having a poor run in race 1. Tim Schmalenberg dropping some spots too. Oh, McAvoy off the road. Oh, no, that's going to get Tyson a bit heated up, I would say, as I think Tyler Sheaf's also off the road as well at the final corner. So a lot of drivers getting unstuck. Hardwick slams into the side of Dean Sinkovich at the final corner. And this has been a wild start to race 2, Jack Oz, as Nick Martin leads us round for the second lap of the race.
Yeah, it's been a pretty chaotic start to the race, if anything.
Well, I think pretty chaotic is probably an understatement if you ask me, but look at the absolute spread of cars inside the top 10. De Bono now up into P2. Fernie and Fahey in behind him as well. Need to look to not get unstuck as Josh King. And I think that's Jamie Davis off the road. And that car has got some massive damage as well. Has to back it up to try and not get in anyone's way. As Dylan De Bono's now off too. I do apologise for the stuttering. It seems the debris is not liking us here tonight for Mid-Ohio. But De Bono now dropping spots and giving some reprieve to Nick Martin at the front of the field.
Yeah, it's got to be that phantom tax, mate. That's what's doing it to both of our computers.
Are you just looking up brain rot at this point?
No, it's things that I get spoken to by all the apprentices at work, don't worry.
Well, the phantom tax is getting claimed at this point, but for Nick Martin, he has had an exceptional start here tonight. P1 on the road. He started in pole, as it seems there's been a massive moment at turn 1 with Rosanita and Benici and Noble as well. So multiple cars off the track. How long is it going to be before we get that yellow flag thrown for the first safety car as McAvoy's off the road too, further back. So a lot of cars copping a lot of damage in this race. And, well, for Nick Martin, he is sitting absolutely pretty in P1.
Yeah, he's just got off scot-free, and he's just, as Noble's putting in his incident as well. Martin, yeah, he's just gotten away scot-free, and he's just cruising at the moment. So he'd be loving it.
Absolutely cruising. He is, you know, trying to build that gap over Fahey. 1.8 seconds is now the gap. If he can keep this up here and keep this race clean, I mean, I know that Davison and Sinise are slowly catching up to him. You know, he could be on for even a podium as well.
I guess you could say he got a grip, couldn't you, Hamish?
Well, I would say that, racing for Get a Grip Racing. Update on David Gallo as well. He's up 11 positions into P13 already, Jack Oz. So he's on the absolute move as Mitch Noble's off the road at the final corner as well. All right, that's it. Quackle, you are getting timed out. See you later. Bye-bye.
I closed the chat, so I wasn't able to see it.
That's okay.
But I'll,
as
we'll talk
Steven
about it later.
Sinkovich has ended up off the
Spinovich.
road. Yes, Spinovich has had a moment, but he's kept it going. He now comes back on track alongside Sheafy. So a one-hand battle and a spin battle about to occur between them both.
Just a Beyblade battle.
Let it rip as best as you can. Yeah, we're not going to put up with that sort of rubbish in the chat. So that's why I've changed to the SRW channel. I can time people out now, so be careful what you say. You will get timed out. Nick Martin, P1 on the road, though. 2 seconds up from Nathan Verney on the podium. Darren Fahey as well. Martin Lofthouse, Ray Oliver. They're getting chased down by Giuliano Sinise and Danny Davison at the moment as we rocket towards lap 5. 5 minutes into this one. No safety car's been called just yet as they continue their battles throughout the field.
Yeah, there are definitely some battles out there. like ranging through the entire field. Within a couple cars within a tenth of each other, as we see David Gallo go in the inside of Matt.
That was a
Gets the job
great
done at
move from
turn two.
Gallo. Just sent it up the inside at turn 2. That was a great job from
Wham,
him.
bam, thank you, man.
Wham,
and
bam,
give me
thank
that.
you, man, from David Gallo. Oh, my God. Nick Martin at the front of the field is off the road. He's off the road at turn 5. We put the Moz on him. He had to get a grip, but he's lost grip at turn 5, 6.
Yeah, he won't find any grip out on the grass there.
No, he won't. So what has happened to him up at turn 5? So he runs round. Caught the hump. And then, that's so unfortunate for him. He'll be absolutely devastated with himself. But a great run thus far. Still inside the top 10, Jackos, but now under pressure from Guns Out Gowans in behind.
I love the nickname Guns Out Gowan.
That's right. And that, you know what that comes from? The fact that he got his camera on the stream 1 week and he was wearing a tank top, so the guns were out. So now he is colloquially known as Guns Out Gowans instead of the grandpa. As Lofthouse gets a move done on Verney at turn 2. Ray Oliver wants to follow him as well. This is the podium for the Pro-Ams right now, Jackos. Oliver, Lofthouse and Verney all together in the top 3. And they've got Sinise and Davison who are hungry to chase down Darren Fahey at the front of the field. As Sinise is trying to cut through this like a driver on the M1 freeway in peak hour as he cuts it up the inside. Not quite close enough, though, to get it done on Ray Oliver.
He's just like, good luck everybody else. I'll turn now.
I was not going to get that contentious, Jackos, I'm going to be honest with you, but...
Family Guy reference.
Yeah, a Family Guy reference for sure. As Danny Davidson and Sinise, these guys are trying to battle their way forward throughout this field here tonight. On board with Sinise, driver's cam, as he tries to chase down Ray Oliver and Nathan Verney, coming in towards the final corner of this Mid-Ohio circuit. You can see the elevation changes and the movement of the head as well.
Says that Cowie's had a crash as well. He had a moment out there.
He quite possibly could have. So let's have a quick look. See what's happened to Andrew Cowan on track. So he had, I believe that is Jordan Mazzarolian behind him as they came up over the hump. Oh, that'll be why he caught the curb and spun it round. Luckily, though, not getting any contact made and just keeps it going once again. Steve Zinkovich into pit lane now. And back on board with Sinise as Ray Oliver's trying to get the job done on Nathan Verney here at turn 5, but he's not quite close enough to get it done either. Oh, that's a great move from Oliver, though. Gets it through turn 6. Verney has to give it up and now looks ahead to chase down Martin Lofthouse towards P2 on the road. As Nick Martin is in all sorts of strife with Gowans and Gallo breathing down the back of his neck at the moment. The pressure is on the younger of the two Martins with their double rig, double cam action here tonight for Get a Grip Racing. Andrew further back in the field as he battles with Andrew Cowan. He's trying to chase down Cowie at the moment is Andrew Martin. For Cowie, well, he's trying to make up for lost time as he had that spin a little bit earlier on that we saw, Jackos. And, well, Cowie at the moment, I don't know how well that taco is going to be helping him in the SFL, but he'll be hoping for a nice clean run throughout the rest of this race.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of an old style of Super Formula Light if that's the case. So, not sure that would actually help you at all, as you said. But
that's a bit like bathtub racing in the old Lotus, isn't it? Just a bit of a taco in there.
Yeah, basically. So, but each to their own. If it's what you like, it's what you like.
Who are them? We're getting asked by Pricey, who are them two dudes racing? So on the left-hand side, Pricey is Andrew Martin of Get a Grip Racing. On the far right is Nick Martin, his son, who started on pole in this race, currently sits P11 on the road. So that's both the Martins on screen. We also got Cowie, who we just showed off as well as Callum Roseneater with his virtual cam. He's in a battle with Andrew Martin, as we mentioned at the moment too. So he's putting major pressure on the back of the elder Martin at the moment. As further up the field, Nathan Verney, Danny Davidson, Well, he's now come under pressure from Davison, but he'll be hoping to get this job done soon enough here, Jackos, because he doesn't want to let Sinise run away with things, does Danny Davidson. And if Sinise starts to chase down Oliver and get past him swiftly, well, that's going to hurt Davison in the end as he now gets it past Verney in towards turn 4. No worries at all, Pricey. Happy to let you know of the drivers that we've got on the cameras tonight as well. And any SFL drivers watching back the stream, if you want to get your cameras on, we'll join the video ninja link that we put up every week in the SFL Open chat in Discord. Get on screen with this. We want to see you out there. We want to put faces to names and names to faces and see the intensity that is happening inside your rigs at home as well. As Doug Gowans has now managed to find the back of Josh King. And when you're in David Gallo's position or Doug Gowan's position, Jackos, you started a bit further back in the field than perhaps where you should have finished in race 1. What's the mentality like leading into race 2 where it's a continued grid and you've got to try and fight your way forward?
Oh, you just got to hit your mark, watch everyone else and try and see if you can pick them off just lap by lap as he's just done there to doing there to Josh King.
And Josh King leading the AMs at the moment. P1 on the road, P10, or P1 for the class, sorry, P10 on the road. As Gowans now gets past him. DeBono's now just found his way past Nathan Verney as well. So he's trying to fight his way forward. We saw an early moment for DeBono in this race. Early chaos in this one as we're 12 minutes into it. No safety cars called just yet, so it's looking less and less likely that we're going to get 3 safety cars. Still an opportunity for 2 to get called in this race though, Jackos, with around about 20 minutes of possible safety car time left on the road.
Yeah, exactly. You can never count it out. It happens in a blink of an eye. And as we saw, didn't see, with even Fifi and Gowans getting together at the end of the first race. So anything can happen within the race.
It could indeed, as Mick Clifton's found his way off the road in the XSR machine, the Accelerate Sim Racing machine as well. What has happened to the almost Larry Perkins helmet looking livery of Mick Clifton at turn 5? Or he did exactly what Nick Martin did, caught the bump, slid the rear and out on the grass. That's unfortunate there for Mick, as Mazzaroli and Levin have now entered pit lane.
I've just realised that Steven Stankovic might have had to pull out due to his technical issues.
I think he has, yeah. So unfortunately, we've got 2 non-finishers. Callan Hodgkinson dropped out after the end of lap 1, and Steve Sinkovic is out as well. So that's unfortunate for those guys. Sheafy, though, has an opportunity for a position gain here if he can get past Mickey Clifton, who ended up in the weeds halfway around the last lap. So hopefully Sheafy can get this job done. Roseneater and Johnston swapping and changing positions. Car 65. Drive-through penalty, incident responsibility on lap 1. So that is going the way of, if I can find them, Cam Hardwick, who had a moment earlier on. So for Cam, unfortunately, he will now have to traverse this VSL car through the pit lane, as he will have any hope at all to make up positions and find himself back at the front of the field. I had a non-starter in you, Sam, and Keegan Caldwell, and Jason Depp, and Ben Simpson. So we've had 4 non-starters, 2 non-finishers, and unfortunately for Cam Hardwick, he's now going to be at risk at going even further down the order in terms of laps down, because Darren Fahey has already lapped him at this stage, and he now has to commit to a drive-through penalty. As Mitch Noble looks to get a job done on Greg Johnson around the outside of turn 2. That's a great move from Noble. He has improved season upon season, and anything that he's been racing here in SRW is Mitch Noble, Jackos. A bit of bad luck tonight. He's down some positions, but he's on the up and up, making up 1 more position over Greg Johnston.
Yeah, exactly. He's you can definitely tell he's come a long way already, and he's only going to get better and better the more he drives. So, it's great to see the improvement, and yeah, hopefully he's enjoying it as well.
Top 4 has starting to tighten up though, as Fahey's starting to get under pressure here from Martin Lofthouse, Ray Oliver, Giuliano Sinise and Danny Davidson as they traverse through the lap traffic. So Faye's under pressure. Lofthouse is feeling the pressure as well, locking it up into turn 2. So Ray Oliver looks to put more and more pressure on the leader of the Pro-Ams at the moment. And for Sinise and Davison, they will be hoping that they can fight their way up towards Darren Fahey and fight it out 1v1 for a race win. As we run up through 5, the pressure that Oliver is applying here on Lofthouse, but for Sinise, he will just be hoping that these guys maybe come together and he stays out of it, and he can continue to put the pressure then on Fahey when he traverses past them.
Yeah, you just be hoping to get some of the easy pickings if they have a scrap together. Just kind of bringing up the dashboard today, Hamish.
Well, I thought drivers can. We might as well have the dashboard up, you know. Where we're in the driver's eye, we might as well show the speed that he's at least doing. So keep an eye on that one as Danny Davidson comes into pit lane. So Davison trying to go for an undercut possibly on Sinise here is getting held up from Oliver and Lofthouse. Could be smart strategy.
I think the benefit of the brand new tyres will definitely be worth it. Whether he gets or gets past the 3 of them, it'll be another story.
Well,
so.
That's also if he decides to take tyres, because the pit stop could very well be short enough that he doesn't actually need them. It's only 4 seconds for the fuel that he needed. So he may not have even taken tyres as Oliver and Lofthouse side by side at turn 5 continue on. Sinise is hot on their heels. If they come together, it could hurt Sinise if he can get past without an absolute scratch. He wants to do it incredibly quickly as McAvoy's had a moment in the background with Brent Wassell as well. So we've got to show this one off because it looks like a big one possibly. Turn 5. So this was... Oh, there's Wassell, caught the curb. He actually just spun around. So McAvoy must have had one on his own.
037 is also requesting a tow.
That is Tyson McAvoy. So what has happened to him?
Just been unsighted by the blind
Oh,
curb.
that's what's happened to him. He caught the spun round Brent Wassell. So this could be that safety car we were waiting for, Jack Oz. There's a heap of the field have come into pit lane, including Dylan DeBono. So DeBono's in, Verney's in, Donahue, Gowans, Martin, Gallo, King, Tesseriero, Schmalenberg all into pit lane. Davison's just come out ahead of DeBono. Could this be a massive misplay from Oliver, Sinise and Fahey at the front of the field?
It'll be interesting to see who comes out ahead at the end of this, with everyone doing their laps now that it's going under a safety car, I believe. The safety car is at the end of the lane.
Yep.
Whether they're...
We do apologise as well for these blinking issues. It seems that still does not like too much debris on the road, especially with cars crashed. So unfortunately, there's not much we can do about this at this stage. It should settle itself down as Fahey's going to come into pit lane to take his stop, as is Lofthouse, as is Sinise, as is Oliver. So now Davison needs to be full push to try and get up to the back of Sinise. The flashing is my internet. My internet seems stable at the moment.
No, it's definitely not internet. It's definitely hardware stuff, and I'm glad that it's not just me, to be honest. Mine may not be flashing, but it's definitely stuttering, so it's not just you, Hamish. It's unfortunate, but it just happens.
Yeah,
on these tracks sometimes.
My internet's stable at the moment. It's using 100% of my CPU apparently, which is bad. We'll have to unpark some cores at some point, so that's why we're getting a lot of that happening. So we'll try and limit this as much as possible if we can. What is using all of my CPU? Oh, it's iRacing that's doing it. Oh, that will not help it if I have that open, so let's shut that down. So hopefully this sorts itself out because, yeah, my CPU is currently at 100% usage, so I'm actually going to have to close my browser, unfortunately. So, or at least some of the stuff on my browser at the moment. No, I have not, James. I need to do that. I need to do that. Yes, that's the problem. I need to open all my cores. So yeah, but iRacing's using a lot of that CPU, so I'm going to have to turn that down or open up all those cores at some point as well. But it has now seemed to have settled, so hopefully that now stays as it is and does not then continue to hurt us at the moment. We do apologise for that happening. It's one of those PC issues that just comes up every now and again as we attempt to continue through the world of PCs and stuff like that as well. Thank you, James. Much appreciated. Is it the Dame Cam one? Yes, it is. I'll watch that and I'll unpark them after we finish the stream. Thank you so much, James. Appreciate it. So Jack Oz, first safety car of the night. We know that safety cars can breed, oh, not first of the night, first of race 2. We know that safety cars can breed safety cars. We're halfway through this race. Pit stops have now occurred. One driver, though, has not come into the pits. That is Andrew Proctor. So he will actually end up at the back of the field, unfortunately, when he does come in. But for Faye, he's returned in the lead. Davison has jumped Sinise, as is De Bono. So that's massive during all of that period. So now Davison's been released past Sinise. He has got De Bono in behind him, but he has to try and find his way past Martin Lofthouse and Darren Fahey at the front when we get underway again.
How much longer was his stop? Do you reckon he might have taken tyres?
Sinise was 7 seconds. He very well may have taken tyres. He very well may have.
That may play out a bit later and make it interesting if he has.
He's not too far behind, so he may have given up track position to take fresh tyres into the end of this race. So I'm gonna pull a bit of a pop culture reference. It's a bold strategy. We'll see if it pays off for him. But one other driver who took a longer stop was Dylan De Bono. His was also 7 seconds. So I would argue that De Bono very well may be on fresher tyres than Danny Davidson at this stage. So that could play in to De Bono and Sinise's hands throughout the rest of this race here this evening. For Darren Fahey, though, he'll have the pressure of the restart when he gets us back underway once again. I'm just going to fix that there. That camera's now got slightly better audio. I do not like the cameras a bit higher sometimes. They've got horrible mics applied to them at times, but you get what you get. And I think, you know, at this stage, Jack Oz, you know, it might be a little bit warm for some of these guys in the rig room. The rhythm's been broken now by this safety car. Where do you think their heads are going to be at in terms of this restart? Do we think maybe they might be slightly burnt out after racing for 40 minutes tonight and now, you know, getting back into a safety car period like this?
Yeah, they're essentially running 3 20-minute races when you think about it. So
yeah,
they might actually be getting some fatigue setting in, or I'm just hearing the race control in the background trying to organise.
Have they just said that Ray Oliver needed to go past De Bono because De Bono's had to slot back in behind him?
I believe so.
Okay, so he must have come out. Ray must have come out of pits and must have gotten to the cone before De Bono was ahead of him. So that's why he's got that position. Fair enough. So a bit of work to do for De Bono, a bit of work to do for Davison at the front of the field as well. And for Fahey, for Lofthouse and Oliver, they want to lock in a 1-2 for themselves in the Pro-Am class. Verney's further back in P3. Josh King looks to get another win in the AM class here tonight as well, but he's got Schmalenberg and Cowan lurking in behind, so he wants to try and keep this clean. Clifton as well. We've had a couple of drivers knocked out of this race thus far, including Tyson McAvoy, Brent Wassell, Stephen Sinkovich and Callan Hodgkinson. Some non-starters in Sam Katakazinis, Ben Simpson, Keegan Caldwell and Jason Depp for race 2. Only drivers not on the lead lap, Cam Hardwick and Brad Hudson, and Brad Anderson as well at the back of the field. So those guys are a lap down at this stage. For Fahey, well, he'll be hoping for a nice clean getaway and not get put under pressure from Lofthouse too much. He'll also be hoping that he doesn't crack under pressure and end up off the road if those tyres are back down to stone cold crazy at this point.
Speaking of stone cold, do you reckon that stone cold Stephen Sinkovich is not going to the Royal Rumble?
I think, at the moment he's not. I think he's definitely probably back on the beers and maybe even ordered himself a jalapeno burger as well.
What?
This is now the dynamic that the viewers are getting this season. Is you and me at moments of pure, not boredom, but pure kind of waiting to fill the time of the safety car. Just pure meme at this point.
You got to keep the audience on their toes.
We do. We will, and we'll often keep them on their toes. I don't know if they were prepared for the Skibbity Riz talk at the start of the night when we were in Ohio, but
I know Jordan definitely enjoyed it.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he challenged you to pull out the Skibbity toilet references as well.
No, he did ask me to reference something else, though, that I have not.
Okay. We're keeping that one in the chamber, perhaps, as safety cars pulling away from the field. So Darren Fahey will have control when we get underway once again in this race. When does he go green? As he comes around the final corner. He is gone now. Oh no, we're still on the safety car. So the safety car decided not to pull away for whatever reason. They've aborted the restart. I'm unsure why. That's quite odd for the safety car to not have come in. I think they perhaps found that Brad Hudson may have actually had a moment and he had to tow back to pit lane. So let's see what's happened to Brad.
There's a car just exited the lane when you would think that
that was Brad Anderson. So the lane should be the exit should be closed. Oh my God, that's why. So Brad Anderson was heading back after going around the safety car, had a spin. Yeah, restart's been aborted. This is why. So Anderson had himself a spin. Stopped, rejoined, Hutto's come along and bang, straight into him. So that's going to get reviewed by race control, I'm sure. I suppose for Anderson, if he's come out of pits and he wouldn't have necessarily known it's closed if the restart was aborted. So he might have become unawares of that. But I would say a drive-through may be coming his way for a poor rejoin, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, unfortunately. It does look like he's filing into the back of the line, so that might be his way of redressing his
well, it's not really going to do much. He's already a lap down, and if he were to get a drive-through, it's not really going to hurt his race too much at this stage. But we look to go green this lap, as the restart was aborted last lap. So hopefully we can continue on and get under green once again. We're 28 minutes into this race now, so looking less and less likely that we'd actually get a second safety car period, Jack, as we're about 12 minutes to the checkered flag getting flown at the 40-minute mark of this race. For Fahey, it's 12 minutes to survive. For Lofthouse, it's 12 minutes to survive. For Davison, it's 12 minutes to attack and get past and hope that De Bono and Sinise don't follow you on the fresher tyres. As I believe safety car has now pulled away, possibly from the field. He has indeed. So, green flag running once again for the Moser Racing Super Formula Championship. As Fahey leads the way for Lofthouse and Davidson and Oliver and De Bono through turn one. Sinise's in this battle as well. As we rocket up towards turn number 2. Keeping it nice and clean for Fahey is absolutely imperative at the moment. As Martin's off the road at turn 1, it seems. Andrew Martin off the road down there in the Get a Grip racing machine. We do apologise for the changing car sounds. The cameras are all over the place at this circuit with the cameras. As Donohue's now dropping positions here to Gowans as well, who looks to chase down Sinise. Gallo's in this battle as well. So there's been some big gainers in the field in Gowans and Gallo who look to chase down Davison and De Bono. They could be the unknown factors, but De Bono looks to be on fresh tyres and looks to put the pressure on Danny Davidson towards the end of this race, Jack Oz.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to cook up to be a nice Wednesday roast, wouldn't it, Hamish?
Wow, a nice spicy meatball for some drivers out there, as De Bono is putting all sorts of pressure on Danny Davidson. So their battle will continue throughout the rest of this race, you would assume. Lofthouse will be hoping not to get put under too much pressure. Donohue's now giving up the position to Gowans. He's trying to fight it, but Gallo wants to sneak on through as well at turn 2. He backs out of it. Looks to go round the out or down the inside of Donohue. Look, yeah, he hasn't quite gotten it done yet, but Gowans may not necessarily want to give Gallo the toe because he would then be under pressure at turn 4.
Yeah, it's more like who do you want to give the toe to more?
Oh, Lofthouse off the road. And Faye's dropped out of the lead. What has happened to our leader? Mr. Singovich, you've joined us for a moment as we're about to head over to a replay. And we can't hear him, so I don't know what's happened to Sinker. So Lofthouse actually got past Faye. Oh, then there was contact, and that's why Faye's dropped out. So he had made the move and got past him, so that's why Lofthouse is down there. By Sinker, he's gone again. So Davison now leads the way. 8.5 minutes left to run. De Bono is hot on his heels on those fresher tyres. Davison will be hoping to try and keep himself in check. Fahey wants to try and hold off Oliver and Sinise with a fast approaching Gowans and Gallo as well. Oh, this race is intensifying, Jackos. Absolutely intensifying. So Sinker's now in the green room. Let's drag him in and see what he wants. Mr. Sinkovich, is your mic now working? I can't hear you, Sinker. Can you hear him, Jackos?
I cannot.
Oh, wait. There he is. We got him. What's up, Sinker?
Drivers, mate. That's all.
The cars, I know. I can't do anything about it. It's the mics on the cameras.
No. I said me, my car, my mic. My mic's fine, and just my headphones are playing up tonight, so they've pulled out.
Okay, fair enough, mate. All good. No worries at all. No worries.
There's another car.
How's it going out there, guys? I see there's another safety car.
Yeah, well, Mitch Noble's out there. Proctor's has gone off the road as well. So they've just gone off at turn 4. Davison and De Bono are now leading, and I think, have we got the safety car again, Jackos? I'm not sure.
Not yet.
Okay.
I don't think so.
But Noble's still parked in the sand, so we'll see if they let him tow back to pits. But for Davison and De Bono, their battle looks to continue. One thing that I'll be doing this week before Sunday Sinker is unparking my cores on my PC. Because it was deciding to run at 100% tonight by throwing everything through one core, so that was fun. Apart from that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I know, you love to see it. It's fantastic. So, yeah, so I'll be unparking cores to try and limit blinking once again.
Oh, there's a spin. Benjamin Brook, I believe, gone around.
Where is Brookie?
At turn 1.
Yeah, he has, down at turn 1. So, race is still intensifying with about 7 minutes to go. Gowans and Gallo's battle continues on as Sinker leaves us alone. Great to have him back in and letting us know why he pulled out of the race. So for Brook, that's a bit of heartbreak, Jackos. For Gallo and Gowans, they're trying to make up lost time on Sinise and Oliver. And for De Bono and oh no, that looks like Johnston's now losing a spot to Sheafy, but Hardwick's also had a moment as well. So they're dropping like flies here, it seems.
Yeah, it's very easy to do over that hump. It looked like he spun it. So yeah, that corner catches you out so easily, and it's caught out a lot of drivers tonight. So
Davison sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:13.462 at the front of the field. De Bono's hot on his heels as Sinise, Gallo and Gowans are battling in behind them as well. So we're just under, or about 6 minutes left to run to the checkered flag. Davison runs it into the grass, so he's feeling the pressure from the VSL car of De Bono in behind him at the moment. Oh, no, we've got flashing. Do apologise. What has caused that? Someone's gone off track. It was Nick Schmalenberg. Please keep it on the road as De Bono's gotten past Davison. Big contact down at turn 4. The leader's off the road. He's then driven straight back into De Bono on the exit. So De Bono may have served Davison. We're not sure. We'll check it out in a moment. Faye's now putting pressure on him. Drive-through penalty, car 5. Contact on lap 21. Danny Davison is now dropping down the field. Mazzaroli has now lost some spots too, as Faye's now taking the lead. That was absolutely huge. Big implications for this race.
Now got to carry damage for the rest of the race.
He does indeed. So what has happened between our top 2 drivers to cause that moment to happen with Danny Davidson? So it was down towards 4. De Bono sent it up the inside. I mean, it didn't really look that bad from that angle at least, but he's then driven straight back on the road. We'll leave it up to race control. That's a heavily contentious moment in this race. Big implications for the win as De Bono's having to carry damage and is now under pressure from Gallo and Sinise. It's going to be 3 wide down the straight. Interlocked wheels could cause massive damage between them. De Bono's had to pull out of it. Now Donahue wants to make it 3 wide as well. Can't quite do it. Sinise makes it through. Gallo and Donahue battling now for P4 on the road to try and put the pressure on Sinise ahead of him as well. None of them want to give up an absolute inch or a millimetre. They want to get anything that they can as Gallo sends it to get it up into P4 in the Carlins Motorsport machine. Up 20 positions at the moment is David Gallo. One more and he's on the podium, but he has to try and get it past Sinise or Ray Oliver if he gets under pressure. As De Bono's had to come into pits to get this car fixed up. I'm not sure if he ran Davison off the track. As I mentioned, race control will break it down. Every single angle they will look at to try and determine who was at fault. Andrew Rushworth in the chat saying had plenty of time to slow and not re-enter like that. Only reason to do what he did. Yep. Only one reason to do what he did. Yeah, it's unfortunate. So it's highly contested racing. Big egos on board, Jack Oz, and well, a lot of frustrations, it seems, amongst the field.
Yeah, definitely. It you don't like to see that sort of thing. And as was said in the chat, there was plenty of time to slow down on the re-entry, but yeah, it's not what you want to see. It is of course a heat of the moment thing, but
it is indeed. But unfortunately as well, that will now get reviewed possibly by admin for deliberate contact, possibly, or retaliation. So that's unfortunate. But for David Gallo, this has been a hell of a run tonight, Jack. I was up 20 spots now in this race. He's got 2.5 minutes to get past Giuliano Sinise to put the Carlins Motorsport 78 car back on the podium in the Moser Racing Super Formula Championship. For Sinise, well, he wants to get some big points over Danny Davidson in this championship. Davison, for example, back in P19. Sinise covers the inside line on Gallo, forces him right to the track's edge. Didn't force him off the road, though, so nothing wrong with that. But he will not want to give this up to David Gallo if he can.
No, he's definitely defending with all that he has. Or as we see Gallo trying to get
on the grass. He's got Donahue behind him as well, so these guys are starting to get contentious. They're starting to get fired up as well. Where's Jake Edwards fans? We need them to fire up for them.
We have seen a few passes on the grass tonight, and it seems like it is actually a favourite of the drivers tonight. So it's producing some good passing.
It is indeed.
Well, Stiefy has apparently crashed, but he's still driving at the moment.
He may have just
see
pulled
if I
it
can
up.
get a replay.
He may have possibly just pulled it up, but we'll see if Jack Oz can get that replay going in the bottom corner. That's what happened to Sheaf. Fahey's had to pit. So Darren Fahey's in the lane. Ray Oliver is leading the race as a Pro-Am at the moment. Gallo's on the podium, as is Donahue. He looks to battle for this podium position right now. Fahey had to come in. So all sorts of dramas on the final lap of the race. Ray Oliver looks to take his very first win in Super Formula Championship action, brought to you by Moser Racing. This right here is the sort of absolute chaos that can ensue. So Oliver, Sinise, Gallo, your current podium, but Oliver of the SLM crew is under massive pressure from Giuliano Sinise. David Gallo's right there to pounce, as is Tom Donahue as well. And the kind of pressure that the Sud Speed entry of Oliver will be feeling right now is at absolute maximum. He'll want his teammate to get out of his way and let him through on his way to his very first overall victory as well. Could have been a drive-through. Andrew, very well could have been a drive-through, but through the final couple of corners for Ray Oliver in the Pro-Am class. He's going to take his first win in the Moser Racing Super Formula Championship with Sinise on the P1 for the pros. Gallo will make up our overall podium here tonight, and Tom Donoghue will come home P3 for the pros, P4 on the road. That's one more lap. They got across the line, so I've absolutely bottled it on that one, I must say. How in the hell did they get across the line before the final lap? Oh, my God. I thought it was the end. I really did. But for Oliver, well, now he has to hold him off. He was wishing it was the end. He was wishing it was. That is what Oliver was hearing in his head as he crossed the line then. He was just hoping that was it. But for Sinise, he wants to get this done round the outside at turn 4. Absolutely sends it. Off the road goes Sinise. Needs to watch the rejoin. Doesn't hit anyone. Donoghue up the inside of Gallo as well. Gallo side by side with him for the next few corners. They're going to start going at it. It now gives reprieve to Oliver at the front, who starts to break away. And for Gallo, he now sits P2 on the road, up 22 spots. And as I said last lap, we come up towards the final corner. For Ray Oliver, this will be his very first win for the SFLs and the overall finishing positions. He will come around the final corner. P1 on the road for SLM. P1 on the road for Ray Oliver for the very first time in the Pro-Ams. David Gallo will take the pro win here tonight, but P2 overall. Donoghue will make up the overall podium. Sinise will come home P4. I think Sinise also would have wanted that last lap to be the final lap of the race as well, Jackos.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God,
that's the first time I've ever done that. It's taken me nearly 300 broadcasts to think that the second last lap was actually the final lap. So
it just takes me back to the super trucks.
Oh my God. But Doug Gowns came home in an impressive P5. Brandon Levin up 31 spots into P6. Nick Martin P6 on the road for the pros, P7 overall. Nathan Verney P2 for the Pro-Ams. Matt Tesoriero P3 for the Pro-Ams. Jordan Mazzaroli P9 on the road overall. Josh King has taken an AM victory here tonight as well. And with Ray Oliver finishing on our overall podium, that now cuts down the amount of people that we get to talk to tonight, Jack Oz, to 4, as we only talk to the overall podium and the class winners. So unfortunately for Giuliano Sinise, he's actually going to miss out on his post-race interview because he hasn't finished on the overall podium.
And towards the end there was only 0.1 of a second between Danny Davison and Dylan DeBono as well, finishing for the position. So they were battling at the very end there. But yeah, that was quite an interesting last lap, wasn't it?
A very interesting last lap as Ray Oliver's tried to do a burnout but put it into the grass, unfortunately for him.
Oh, there's a big crash back there. Oh my God,
there is a big crash back there on the in lap. What has happened between those guys? But still, what a race for Ray Oliver. His first overall win in the Super Formula Championship, brought to you by Moser Racing. But for some of those guys out on track, Jack Oz, well, it'll be a little bit of what could have been. And obviously the highly contentious moment between Dylan DeBono and as well Danny Davison, and what could maybe come of that when admin decides. It'll definitely get reviewed, and I know Race Control will be picking that one apart a heap over the next week before the next round. But what a race. Ray Oliver, P1 for the first time. David Gallo, Thomas Donoghue on your overall podium. Josh King, our AMS winner as well. I'm going to pull a little sneaky here. I'm actually going to drag Josh King in straight out of his team channel so we can have a chat to him. Mr. King, we've stolen you from your team for your class win here tonight in the AM class. P1 on the road for the AMs. P13 overall, up 11 spots. That's a great finish for you, mate. How's it feel to get that job done?
Feels really good, fellas.
And we saw it was a very, very chaotic night for your team. We saw Sinker have issues, that being Stephen. We saw Brad unfortunately have a moment after passing the whole field under safety car, and then Hutto having nowhere to go. Brandon on his intake earlier tonight as well. But you, the little quiet achiever, just managed to pick up some positions, get some quality finishes. We know that Jamie struggled a little bit, as did Mitch, but mate, how was that racing for you? Because you just seemed to stay nice and consistent, pick up some quality positions, and yeah, got yourself the win in the AMs.
Yeah, no, it was good racing. I just kept my head down, picked my battles, and just tried to keep it clean the whole race.
Mate, that's exactly what
it worked out for me.
Well, it's exactly what you need to do, especially around a track like this. Trying to keep it clean, keep yourself consistent is incredibly important. Next week we go racing at Zolder Alternate Circuit. That's a track where we could see quite a lot more chaos happening as well. Have you got any thoughts leading into that race? Are you going to bring a similar mentality once again, or do you think it's maybe there might be a little bit different mentality in that one?
We'll see how it goes. I'm not the biggest fan of Zolder, but I'll just try to recreate tonight and see how it goes.
Man, that's all you can do. But let us know. Helps get you and Team SRW Motorsport out on track. Anyone else you wish to give a shout out to as well, for myself, Jack Oz, and the rest of the league. Congratulations on your P1 here tonight for the AMs and your top 15 finish overall as well.
Cheers, fellas. I'd like to thank you boys in the commentary booth, all the boys behind SRW, my teammates, Warren and Brown Tools, Shannon's, Grim Industries, Neuro Power, DSL Railway Service, and Moser Racing.
Very good, mate. Best of luck next week at Zolder. We look forward to seeing how you go. Get some good practice in, and hopefully you can back it up with another win.
Cheers, fellas.
Thanks, mate. All right, next up, we're going to go straight to our P3 on the road in Tom Donoghue. Unfortunately for Giuliano Sinise, as I mentioned, he misses out on the interview because it's overall podium and class winners. And with Ray Oliver winning the race, well, we're going to have to talk to him last. So we'll chat to Mr. Donoghue first up. Tom, what a great run from you. That was a chaotic end to this race. I thought it was the last lap on the second last lap, calling Ray the winner. Giuliano would have hoped it was the last lap based on what happened to him at turn 4. Mate, thoughts? Because that was some intense racing to the very end. Yourself and Gallo, who've been racing alongside each other on track for a fair bit the last couple of weeks. Giuliano thrown into the mix. The chaos of Davison and DeBono. Where's the head at? And how do you feel after locking in that P3?
Yeah, honestly, 3 laps to go, I thought I was nowhere. And then all of a sudden, second to last lap, I was like, I might actually have a chance for the win here, depending if those guys take each other out. So, yeah, at the end of that race, it was, that's some of the most fun I've had in a while, honestly. And Gallo was good to race with. I don't know about that rejoin at the end. It nearly killed us. But, yeah, other than that, it was a good, fun battle at the end.
Mate, as long as it didn't hit ya, I think it's fine. You know?
Yeah.
As long as there's no contact, it might be a little bit of a heartthrob, but apart from that, I think you're all good. But, mate, what was the racing like for you? Because myself and Jack have done many laps around this place. He's done some laps this week in this car. What was it like across those 60 minutes of racing in both those races? Because I feel as if this place is a big challenge for these cars in terms of undulation changes, as well as the on-camber and off-camber at each corner, and how these cars can react across a stint. So what was it like when you were trying to chase down those guys at the front, but also keep yourself and your tyres in check throughout the stint as well?
Yeah, I think this track is honestly one of my favourite tracks. I've done a lot of laps here in the IndyCar, and yeah, I was really looking forward to it. I think I prefer these type of tracks that are technical and less slipstreamy because it kind of lets the driver make the biggest difference. And yeah, it was pretty tough towards the end. A couple of the guys were saying that their tyres were gone off. I think I was kind of lucky because I was by myself for a little period there, so I got to manage them a bit. But yeah, generally it was quite an enjoyable race. I was surprised with, how close it was at the end there, really. I wasn't expecting that, so that was good.
Well, mate, it was a very, very positive performance to you. Next week, we're at Zolder Alternate Circuit. Thoughts leading into that one? Both myself and Jack think it could be quite chaotic, which we love as broadcasters, but as a driver, what direction do you think that race could be heading in terms of how the dynamic of the race is going to be throughout, flag to flag?
If it's another sprint round, it's definitely going to be chaotic.
It is another sprint round, so the chaos is on the cards, then it seems.
Yeah, I would tune in for that one. That should be fun.
I think it should be. Well, mate, congratulations on your P3 overall, P2 in the pro class tonight as well. Let us know, helps get you and everything simulated racing out on track. Anyone else you wish to give a shout out to as well, for myself, Jack, and the rest of the league, congratulations on your overall podium here in the Moser Racing Super Formula Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I'll thank Everything Simulated, RSW Graphics, RKS, Adrenaline Events, Home Computing, and yeah, thanks for you guys for putting on the broadcast and everyone who organises the league.
Very good, mate. Well, best of luck next week at Zolder. We look forward to seeing how you go. And hopefully you can back it up with another podium for yourself as well.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers,
Appreciate
guys.
it. I'm just going to quickly pick a different point of the race to get some B-roll happening because we're starting to get some of that blinking at this section of the race. So we'll just go back to this one and then we'll pick up Mr. Gallo, which will drag him in his return to Moser Racing Super Formula Championship. Mr. Gallo, my personal best driver of 2024. You come into tonight, bit of tough luck in race 1, but man, you have not lost anything in race 2. 22 positions, an intense battle to the end. So intense, I thought the second last lap was the last lap. But I think you're pretty glad that the second last lap was not the last lap because you managed to make up a position and get into P2 in the end of the race. But what a run for you and a solid chunk of points in your return to the series after missing round 1.
Yeah, evening, gents. Yeah, thank you. Good to be back. I look forward to the track selection this week, so definitely wasn't going to miss it. So it was interesting starting at the back and making my way through, and yeah, I was definitely pushing hard. And towards the end, I don't know how much tyre compound I had left, but it wouldn't have been much, I wouldn't have thought.
How much pressure are you putting on yourself this season, David? Of course, missing round 1, forced drop round already. Is there now much pressure you're applying to yourself, or are you kind of along for the ride now and just seeing what happens this season and seeing if, for whatever fall of grace, you could possibly win a 3rd championship here in Moser Racing Super Formula Championship land?
No pressure. I think I'm possibly going to miss another round or 2 because of work commitments.
Okay.
So I'm looking at it as a bit of fun at this stage. So yeah, I like to sort of. Me and Daniel used to put a bit more practice into it when we were sort of racing together. Unfortunately, Daniel can't be here this season because of other commitments. But I think fun. Yeah, I'll just come into it with an open head and see if I can end up the top somewhere.
Maybe a bit of X Factor Gallo coming in now, the 2-time champion coming in to shake up the order a little bit every week. But David, it's great to have you back out on track with us. I know James is happy in the chat, saying Gallo, let's go, baby. So your biggest fan from the UK is definitely cheering you on. Let us know. Helps get you and Carlin's Motorsport out on track. Anyone else you wish to give a shout out to, congratulations on your P2 on the road here tonight and your pro victory as well here in the feature race.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Just shout out to Carlin's Motorsport, Driver 808, which is Daniel on TikTok and YouTube, Glam Raider, Little Rara, Eagle Automotive, and a shout out to my wife Anna and my 2 girls, Valerie and Anthea. And thank you, gents, at SRW.
Well, David, best of luck when you're next out on track with us here in SRW. We look forward to seeing how you go. Enjoy any of your other SFL racing you've got going on. I know you're racing a couple of other leagues, so hopefully you can continue these strong runs and continue to get podiums next to your name.
Yeah, thanks, gents. Thank you. Ta.
Next up, we have a first-time winner in the Moser Racing Super Formula Championship. It is SLM's Ray Oliver. You are officially a race winner, Ray. An overall race winner. The first Pro-Am overall race winner in quite a long time, if not ever. I'd have to ask Hutto. He's the one who knows majority of the stats. Mate, what is your seat just moistened to the absolute 10th degree at the moment after the pressure over those final couple of laps?
In more ways than one, because I've had no aircon in this place today.
My God.
So I've got a fan blowing up between my feet, and yeah, that's it. It's just I'm dripping with sweat.
Mate, I think it's
that
was pressure, high pressure, surely.
Oh, that was insane. There was nothing left in the tyre department, and trying to not defend but do stuff in the right manner without killing anybody, because there was definitely some interesting lines being taken, was fun. But I'm definitely surprised to have actually found the pace straight away after such a long layoff.
So, of course, you know, your teammate Matt Keane, who's not racing this season, doing race control, I'm sure he's about as happy as anyone can be right now. But what's the thoughts after locking that in? Because it's not only a Pro-Am win, it's an overall win. So you're getting maximum points next to your name for the feature race. I mean, you know, are there any words that can even be said to sum up that feeling of getting that first win next to your name?
Well, for me, I'm basically a wildcard because I can only do three rounds a season because I work away. So it's more means more because of that, because I've been out of the seat for 2.5 weeks doing night shifts. So to be back in doing days and and back in the seat only yesterday is good to actually find that pace around here.
Well, mate, it's fantastic to see. Do we know which is the next round that you'll be racing with us here in Moser Racing Super Formula Championship?
If I'm still off with an ingrown toenail, I will be at next week. But if not, it will be 3 weeks' time.
The fact that you've just won a race with an ingrown toenail, that's definitely a first time we've had. At least confirmed for us, I will say that. Probably the first time that's been confirmed.
I thought I needed the medic more than Dougie needs the retirement home.
Good old guns out and gowans. He did well tonight, up 15 into the top 5. But Ray, congratulations. P1 on the road for you. P1 in the Pro-Am class as well. Let us know how to get you and SLM Motorsport out on track. Anyone else you wish to give a shout out to. For myself, Jack Oz alongside, and the rest of the league, congratulations on your very first win here in the Moser Racing Super Formula Championship as a part of SRW.
Cheers, mate, and cheers to all the boys on the team with SLM, with Maddie and Kyle and all the boys. They've done a lot over the last lot, and Jason behind the scenes to get everything going through, and it's now starting to pay dividends slowly, but it's getting there. But it's good to have the support of Sudspeed and W and all that as well. So yeah, this one's good. But I didn't get a chance to say it last year, and nor did Matt, but we lost somebody in the West Australian motorsport community last year, in Basil Riccadello, so this one goes out to Basil.
Oh, mate, so glad you got a win to be able to commit to him. And, mate, whenever you're back with us on track, best of luck, and we'll see if you can make it 2 from 2. Well, fingers will be crossed for you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get a blood nose after this one.
All right, mate, get out of here, get cool, and we'll see you next time out on track.
Cheers, boys.
Well, Jack Oz, end of round 2, contentious as ever, controversial as ever, and, what a time for Moser Racing to come on board for the Super Formula Championship. And next week at Zolder, it's going to be tasty. He may or may not have walked away. We'll see. Well, we'll see if Jack Oz walked away. I'm pretty sure he has.
Sorry, I didn't know that you actually wanted me to continue on with that.
Oh, so sorry, Jack Oz.
But yeah, it was a brilliant race, and riddled with battles and a couple of controversies, but that's racing, and we look forward to next week at Zolder, which should bring up even more spicy racing. So,
well, we'll be doing the research in the background, having chats to people, see what the developments are of some of these incidents that happened tonight. And, we may have some news to come into next week. We won't know. We'll have to wait and see. You guys will have to wait and see for round 3. Round 3, of course, as I mentioned, out at Zolder alternate circuit next week. Should be an absolute spicy one. You guys do not want to miss it. But thank you so much once again, Jack, for being in the booth with me. I'm looking forward to you coming back next week for Zolder once again. We have to give a big shout out, though, to all of our series sponsors, including our title sponsors, Moser Racing here for the Super Formula Championship, and our other title sponsors, Warren & Brown Tools, for their continued support of the V8 Supercars Series on Tuesday nights for Split 1 and Split 2, and the Sunday night V8 Supercars Championship as well. And to Shannon's Insurance for their continued support of the Thursday night Toyota GR86 Nationals. Tomorrow night they'll be racing out at Rudscogan Motor Centre for a super sprint round. As well as all of our other series sponsors, Shunt Scenery, DSL Rail Services, and Grim Industries, home of the V8 Coffee Table, which can be found on Prime Video's Top Gear Australia, during the news, interviews, and other studio segments. But I've been Hamish Munro, joined alongside once again by Jack Anderson for the Moser Racing Super Formula Championship Round 2 out at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Centre. But until next time, stay safe, drive hard, and as always, bye for now.
This is amazing. I was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because